and the advocacy on issues that are important to the community. I've been elected now for 22 years at all three levels of government. I know where government's broken, where it's not connected, where we need to do better. But I should say, I have a long-standing relationship with the Punjabi community in Canada. Not only have I been to the Punjab over a dozen times, I have been one of the most outspoken in the country in terms of standing up for the community when there's been issues. You look at more recently the farmers' protest. I believe I was one of the first voices in Canada supporting the struggle of the farmers. And more recently with Bill 21, which is an attack on religious freedom in our country. And I look at the political leadership in this country sitting on the sidelines. You look at Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre saying they're not going to get involved because it's popular in Quebec. Let's call a spade a spade. It is fundamentally wrong. The foundational values of our country are religious freedom. The fact that if you wear a turban and you can't be a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, a judge in one part of the country is unconscionable. A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian no matter where they live in Canada. I don't want to start setting precedents that we allow second-class citizenship. No one should ever lose their job based on their faith. And the response that I'm hearing from Pierre and Justin Trudeau is cowardly to sit on the sidelines. We should never sit on the sidelines of discrimination. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running federally. We need leadership that has the courage of our convictions. We need someone who can build a big tent Conservative Party that can win. Right now, we're seeing in Ottawa financial chaos. The government, the country is going to be in debt for generations. And there's no plan to clean up our finances. That's why we need the Conservative Party to win. But to win, you need a Conservative Party that is connected to suburban Canada as well. That's where Justin Trudeau's won. And you can imagine through my work, I've been very successful in building relationships and coalitions in suburban Canada. I'm elected mayor of Brampton, that is a mosaic of the world. When I was provincial Conservative Party leader, I won by-elections in areas that the party had never won. And I intend to win this leadership campaign by growing the reach of the party. And we're going to talk about issues that matters to Canadians. There is an increasing burden on the backs of small business and families, a government that continues to increase taxes and increase red tape. We've got a revolving door justice system that no one's talking about. We desperately need bail reform. I launched a petition in Brampton for bail reform 3 years ago, and it's fallen on deaf ears in Ottawa. You have the same criminals committing the same crimes. The police in my area call it they're frequent flyers. I want to make sure that we have a justice system that respects the rights of victims as much as it does the rights of criminals. We need to support the police so they can do their jobs in tackling gun and gang violence that has affected suburban Canada, whether you're in Vancouver or in the GTA. We can't have loopholes in our criminal justice system. We have that today. We need a national energy corridor. The fact that we've seen the government miss every environmental target, yet they have blocked the prosperity of our energy sector. I find it infuriating that here, when I'm back home in Ontario and I fill up the gas tank, I'm becoming wealth generators for Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. I want to support Canadian prosperity. I want to support Western Canadian prosperity, and having a national energy corridor does that. So there's many reasons that I'm running for the Conservative leadership, and that's what I wanted to talk about during this visit to British Columbia. I'm here from Wednesday night to Saturday, meeting with the community, and we're excited for this journey that we're on. And so I'd be happy to take any questions, and grateful that you take the time to sit down with me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And we'll take questions by a show of hands. So, Kuldeep Singh, then Amit Pal.
Welcome for coming here in Vancouver with the Punjabi Press Club. As you just said that suburban area, because especially when we talk about what you call 416 and 905, your area, diversity, you were just saying, what was the reason why CPC couldn't get a favor of the diversity in those areas, and especially in the lower mainland? Because everywhere you can see those liberals are coming at second term, they are not in the majority. I mean, what is the magic you will use with the CPC if you become leader?
And frankly, if the Conservatives had have won in suburban Canada, they'd be in government today. I have spent my time in public service in suburban Canada. I get elected in suburban Canada. My success in Brampton speaks to my ability to make that breakthrough. I've got a high approval rating in an area that is a liberal fortress. I would be Justin Trudeau's worst nightmare in suburban Canada. And frankly, we need a Conservative Party that will speak up on the big issues that affect the community. And that's why I reference Bill 21. It's an attack on religious freedom that affects the mosaics of faiths we have in suburban Canada. And the Conservative Party was absent. They could have held Justin Trudeau to account for taking for granted the support of many communities. But there's other issues that I've spoken about that I haven't heard the Conservative Party or the Liberal Party speak about. And that's going to change. Because I'm connected and I listen to the community, it's going to be a different dynamic. Let me give you an example. You look what happened in Ukraine. And, I support how quickly the government of Canada moved to help Ukrainian refugees. It was the speed and the pace of setting up a refugee program was extraordinary, and I applaud that and I support that. But I have to say, what happened when we were having pleas for help for the Afghan Sikhs? Crickets, nothing. We didn't hear anything. As mayor of Brampton, I spoke out, but where were the federal parties when that crisis was before us? And so the difference you get with my candidacy is you get someone who will be a fierce advocate for the community, who will stand up for issues that affect any group of Canadians. I'll fight for every Canadian.
When we are talking about diversity, especially there's a perception of the people, new immigrants, and especially minority groups. They're thinking that CPC is not really giving favor to the immigrants. Maybe that is the main reason when your previous government, when their CPC was in power, and they didn't really give a favor on the immigration basis, especially they make those strict rules for the immigrants. Maybe that was the reason people didn't vote CPC. And as liberal, they're giving favor to those immigrants.
Well, I can tell you, it has been new Canadians that were the first to encourage me. You talk about immigrants. It's all this mosaic of communities that have been encouraging me to run for the leadership because they said we need a Conservative leader who understands that. In terms of my perspective on the immigration system, I believe the immigration system is a source of Canada's strength. If anything, I find that Justin Trudeau, in his time in office, there's been too much red tape, too much bureaucracy blocking the incredible benefit that immigration brings to our country. We have massive skilled trade shortages in our country, and yet we can't get immigration streams set up for the skill shortages. We have a massive backlog during COVID of immigration, and so we're going to do better. If you have a Conservative leader who understands how critical, how important, how helpful immigration is, then you get a very different perspective. And as someone who lives in Brampton, who lives in the GTA, I understand that the mosaic is one of our country's greatest strengths. And I will encourage that. I will welcome that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to know, everyone, especially in Lower Mainland and most of the people knows that you're a very liberal conservative leader. How you will get support from the Alberta, Winnipeg, and Saskatoon, because there is a core conservative people live there, right? And you always spoke about the human rights issue and other issue, right? and how you will get support. And plus, the last conservative platform, they said China is abusing the human rights. We will not the business relationship with the China, and we will encourage to the India. But India have the same time have a human right issue. But you always spoke against that. Everyone knows that. But your other leader, they never spoke against the human rights and other things.
You know, I will never back down from speaking about human rights and what is just. As you know, it was well reported when I was in India, in Hyderabad, I spoke out against the Citizenship Amendment Act in India. Why? I was asked at a press conference what I thought about it, and obviously I thought it was discriminatory toward a specific faith. And it doesn't matter where I am, I will speak from my heart what I believe is right, and I don't support discrimination in Canada. I don't support discrimination in India. I don't support, and I am committed and devoted to being an advocate for human rights wherever I am and whatever level of public service. You know, I am a big tent conservative, and I believe that the silent majority of the party and of the people that we're bringing into the party share my perspective. You mentioned Western Canada. We're getting a ton of support.
Middle of Canada.
We're getting a ton of support in the prairies. You know, I look at Michelle Rempel, probably the most well-known Conservative MP in Alberta, supporting my campaign as one of the campaign co-chairs. You know, here in British Columbia, the former chair of Stephen Harper's campaign, former longtime 30-year MP in British Columbia, John Reynolds, is the other co-chair. In Saskatchewan, a longtime Conservative MP, Rob Clark, is supporting us. Mohammed Fayez from the New Saskatchewan Party. In Manitoba, Minister Scott Fielding, former MP Merv Tweed. We've got some real leaders in the Conservative movement who have stood up and said that Patrick's approach is right, that we need to build a big tent Conservative Party. And you know, my approach is, when one group of Canadians is attacked, we're all attacked, and we stick up for each other. And today there might be an anti-Sikh moment, or an anti-Muslim moment, or anti-Asian hate. There's going to be hate within any country that tries to build political support after pushing one group down. Real leaders recognize that the way you unite a country and unite a party is you bring everyone together. And if any community in this country is facing adversity and facing hate, I'll be the first to come and stand by them.
Thank you.
Paddy Nelson.
Well, Pretty, it was a much covered on these issues. It's not about you. But the general perception about the CPC is that it's anti-Indian. How do you plan to change that perception?
Well, I'm going to change that by winning this leadership, because I can tell you, the more Canadians learn about me, the more they're going to realize that it's ingrained in who I am, that I support the beauty of our mosaic. I support the incredible benefit of immigration. I understand that this country is built on immigration. I understand from my own two eyes that every day as mayor of a big diverse city, I meet families who have come to Canada with nothing but the shirt on their back, and they've built companies, they've built prosperity, they've created wealth and success for our community. Every day as mayor of a big city, and I'm out there fundraising for our local hospital, I have people that come to me and say, Mr. Mayor, I want to donate this to our local hospital because I'm so proud to be a Canadian and what I've been able to achieve in this country. The beauty of Canada is that if you work hard, you can achieve your dreams. The beauty of Canada is that we are a country of success stories based on drive, determination, and dreams. And I'm going to support that environment. I'm going to do whatever I can to continue that beautiful Canadian success story.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I have one question. I don't know if you've read Warren Cancella's article in The Sun on the central bank and Pierre Poilievre. How do you differentiate from his view of the central bank compared to your view and control of the central bank, what Pierre Poilievre advocating, and the way it's run, what deficiencies do you note in it, or what is his view? Do you agree with that, and what is your view?
So I haven't read the article that you're speaking about. What I'd say with Pierre Poilievre, it's more 7-second sound bites than substantial economic policy, and I believe it's important. We put forward a plan to Canadians in the next election that is focused on a low tax economy, reducing regulatory burdens, getting government out of the way of the success of small businesses, and protecting jobs in every sector. I think one of the challenges we have right now is that government has been obstructionist in terms of supporting key sectors in the Canadian economy, the energy sector being one of them. And so I'm less interested in quick sound bites that may create likes on social media. I'm more focused on having a comprehensive policy platform for the country that we can take to Canadians that will really speak to how we deal with the affordability crisis, that will really speak to how we can deal with the financial pressure being faced by the country. Like, don't kid ourselves. The position that Justin Trudeau with this NDP Liberal coalition are going to put us in, Canada's going to be in financial disarray to a level we've never seen. And we're going to have to clean that up when we get elected. We're going to have to make sure we put our financial house in order. I've been in this position before. I got elected as mayor of Brampton when they had 19 years straight of tax increases, spending that was out of control. We did value for money audits. One of our local city councillors, Harkirat Singh, put forward a motion to value for money audits. We've balanced the books 4 years in a row. We found savings. We haven't raised taxes. And just like I did on a local level, we're going to do that on a national level and make sure that every dollar spent in Ottawa is justified, because every Canadian family that is struggling to make ends meet and they send their taxes to Ottawa, we need to make sure that we can justify the dollar that they have sent to Ottawa is spent appropriately.
Okay, second round, you have Kuldeep Singh.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to go?
I just want to know, for the Western Canada and Alberta especially, have an issue with the pipeline issue with the United States, and what's your view about that? Because still, Biden said no.
We need a national energy corridor, and we need to have a persuasive argument in the world that it is in the world's interest to use clean Canadian energy. And the fact that the world was so dependent on some of these countries that have no regard for labor rights, environmental regulations, or human rights. My pitch to other countries is, if you buy Canadian oil, you're not going to be wealth generators for Saudi Arabia or Venezuela, or even more recently. Obviously things are changing, but you look at Europe's dependence on Russian oil. It would be in Europe's interest to be more dependent on Canadian oil. And so I think there is an opportunity here, now that the world has seen how vulnerable they were on their dependency from countries that didn't share our Canada's commitment to democracy.